All right, real quick, I want to thank everybody for your patience. The council's coming out of. I'm going to do a loop with myself. All right, I think we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the meeting of, I believe it's a regular meeting of the Vallejo Housing Authority. The time is 7:14 p.m. Again, thank you everyone for your patience. We will start the regular council meeting immediately after this. I'll turn it over to Secretary Abramson to conduct the roll call, please.
Chair Source.
It's actually 7:05. How did the clock get that far off from just in the last 2 hours? It's got, okay. The time is 7:05 p.m. Now the roll call. Thank
Chair
you.
Source.
Present.
Vice Chair Bergenzer.
Present.
Board members Gordon. Lediju. Matias.
Here.
Matulik.
Present.
Palmares.
Present.
All right, thank you. We have one consent calendar item, which is our approval of minutes and the agenda, and then an informational item. So we'll go ahead and start the 2-minute clock for our consent calendar. Anyone wishing to address the Housing Authority on our consent calendar, which is literally the approval of the agenda, please sign up or raise your hand virtually. And I'm going to ask, do any members of the Housing Authority wish to remove anything from the consent calendar, knowing that we just have the approval of minutes? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? We do have to let the time run out.
I'd like to make the motion.
I move
yeah.
that we approve the, go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the minutes.
And agenda. Perfect. All right, we're going to let this clock run out, and then we will vote. All right, presuming we don't have any public comment on this item, why don't we're going to run out these last few seconds, but why don't we go ahead and vote? Councilmember or board member Lediju,
Are you not voting?
the consent calendar. Would you like to verbally vote? She has said she's a yes.
Okay, so
All
the
right.
motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. All right, we have no items on our action calendar this evening. We just have one item on our information calendar, and I'll ask our secretary to please announce item 5A.
Section 8, Management Assessment Program, Performance of the Housing Authority of the City of Vallejo for fiscal year 24-25.
All right, thank you very much. This item is going to have a public hearing. So we have our housing director, Jones. Do we have a presentation on this item?
Through the chair, yes.
All
I
right.
have a short presentation.
And while we do the presentation, we'll also open up public comment on this item. We'll open a public hearing immediately after the presentation and then takes comments from the board. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Alicia Jones, Housing Director for the Housing and Community Development Department. I have a short presentation on the performance of the Housing Choice Voucher Program as it relates to our CMAP that we submit to HUD every year on our program performance. The Section 8 Management Assessment Program performance, next slide, is the Housing Authority's ability to report out to HUD the performance of the agency to ensure that we're in compliance with HUD regulations, in addition to HUD monitoring and managing the program based on our transactions submitted into the HUD database. There are 14 indicators for the CMAP. For CMAP, I'll go over each of those indicators. Each of indicators have a score, which is weighted at the end, and outlines our performance status. The Housing Authority have the ability to self-assess or self-evaluate their performance in indicator 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. The the remaining indicators are captured through HUD Inventory Management System, which is also known as PIC. Next slide. There are 3 categories a housing authority can fall into, which is high performer, standard performer, and trouble performer. Each of these levels have a percentage score that a housing authority will fall within to determine where they land as their status as a performing agency. There are a total of 145 available points for CMAP. Next slide. And I will go over each of those indicators with the scoring, and at the end, I will provide you with information based on our performance status. Indicator 1 is selection from our waiting list, which require us to have a policy in place and a process that we use to pull and select individuals off of our existing waiting list. That particular indicator, you can get between 0 or 15 points. Indicator 2 is rent reasonableness. This particular indicator allows Housing Authority to receive approximately 20 points, 15 points, or 0 points within those percentage ranges identified on the slide. Next slide. There are 9 factors to consider when we determine rent reasonableness, and the purpose of rent reasonableness is to ensure that we are comparable to units in the surrounding areas of the units selected by the families. These 9 indicators are listed in this particular slide. We are not required to identify each of them, but we are required to try and identify as many as we can when we're selecting units for comparables. Next slide. Indicator 3 is determination of adjusted income, which means that the Housing Authority are properly verifying the information that's provided to the Housing Authority from participants as it relates to their income, their household income. Each of this indicator has approximately 20, 15, or 0 points that can be received within those percentage rates. The indicator 4, which is a utility allowance schedule, the Housing Authority is required to annually adjust our utility allowance schedule if there's an increase of more than 10%. Next slide. Indicator 5 is quality control inspections, which requires a supervisor or a qualified designee to inspect a sample of the units inspected for the prior 90 days. The Housing Authority currently utilizes the services of a contractor to conduct housing inspections, and internally, the supervisor or a staff member will quality control the inspections that was completed by the consultant. Indicator 6 is enforcement. HQS enforcement is housing quality standard enforcement, which means that the Housing Authority must abate payments if units have life-threatening deficiencies and are not corrected within 24 hours, or if they're non-life-threatening deficiencies that are not corrected within 30 days of the inspection. This particular indicator is weighted at 10 points. Next slide. Indicator 7 through 14, the remaining indicators are indicators that are identified through HUD and provided to the Housing Authority through the PIC system I mentioned earlier. Indicator 7 is expanding housing opportunities, which requires the Housing Authority to ensure that we have rental listings available for families that are searching for housing to ensure that they can find housing in opportunity areas in the city of Vallejo. Indicator 8 is our payment standards, and this particular indicator requires the Housing Authority to have their payment standards between 90 and 110% of the fair market rent, with the ability to request a waiver to extend the amount up to 120% of the FMR. Payment standards are used as a guide for families to search within their range as far as housing is concerned. Next slide. Indicator 9 are annual income recertifications, and Housing Authority completes the recertifications each year, at least once every 12 months. Indicator 7, the Housing Authority correct tenant calculations. And indicator 11 is initial HQS inspections, meaning that we conduct an inspection for every single unit that's new to the program, or when the family find a unit, we have to do an inspection before we execute a housing assistance payment contract. Next slide. Indicator 12, annual inspections. We conduct inspections we're on a biannual basis, so we conduct inspections once every 2 years. Indicator 13 is lease up, meaning that the Housing Authority must spend at least 95% or more of the funds that's awarded to the agency, or lease the program of the number of vouchers under contract at least 95%. The Family Self-Sufficiency Program is where families can find opportunities for work, and if they want to purchase a home. We have a selected number of families on the program currently. At this time, for the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, the Vallejo Housing Authority administered this program voluntarily, and is not mandated by HUD. It's a voluntary program that we chose to administer. Next slide. This particular slide, I would like to point out our performance in prior years. Our prior year performance from 23 to 24 was approximately 63%, which means we were barely a troubled agency. And with a lot of work and a lot of effort from the team, the small team that we have, we were able to increase our performance to 81%. Even with this anticipated amount to be standard, we petitioned HUD to increase this 81% to 89% because of the cleanup that the staff has completed going back all the way to 2019. So there was a lot of cleanup that had to happen, which increased our performance rating from 81 to 89, and we're petitioning HUD to provide us with those scores, that percentage, which would take us 1% less than high performer. With that, we had an 18% increase in improvement in the program, and that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions. But I would like to state this. I would like to give a special acknowledgement to the Housing Choice Voucher team. Our team worked very, very hard to get to the place that we are today, and I just couldn't sit here and give this report if it was not for them. So I want to thank my team and all the effort and time that it took to get this score the way it is, to bring our program into a better standing than prior year.
Right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing on this item. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment at this time?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one speaker online.
Okay. Any in person? No? All right. Let's go ahead and call the online speaker.
Hi, how are you guys today?
Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry to bring up such a small kind of issue. It's a routine issue involving the housing authority to the whole city council, but I guess luckily you guys are having a bit of a hearing on this. So basically, I appreciate the metrics and all the hard work that the city council, that the housing authority has done. And I can definitely say that there has been an improvement. However, I feel like maybe that is not as much of an improvement as this presentation is, kind of indicating. I would like to give you an example. In February last year, for example, my bank account was compromised. I sent in the paperwork February 7th for the housing authority to change the bank account. It took till October 1st for them to actually do it. And currently, we have two outstanding issues. We have received no notifications about any inspections or anything like that. All of a sudden, the payment stopped. After a lot of emails, the payment started again. They're like, oh yeah, we did an inspection. Like I didn't know, the tenant didn't know. We fixed the issues, done. The payments have now stopped again, and no one's responding. It's been like 6 months now. So I don't know if the family's on Section 8. The family doesn't know. Everyone's just up in the air. So sorry to hijack the form, but if you could please get some attention on this, I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
No
Sorry.
other speakers at this time.
Sorry, Mayor, can we ask that the previous speaker's contact information? Do we have that contact information?
Probably would want to send it by email if they don't want to say it over the. Could we get your name? Could we
Oh,
get the person's name?
Yeah, I don't mind giving you my contact information. I've been emailing the city nonstop for, the housing authority nonstop for a while. My name is Div Sahani, and my email address is div, D-I-V, at thediv.net.
Okay,
All right. Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. With that, we'll close the public forum, open it up to board comments, and I see Board Member Leteju.
Thank you for your presentation. One of the things that, and congratulations, because I know it's a big deal, and the work that it takes, and what each and every one of these points mean, I fully understand. But one of the things that I would really like from a presentation perspective, you understand this and I understand this, but when we are talking about the points and how many points you've gotten in each of those categories, how many points did we get in each category? So, but I think it would be really helpful for the council to understand as you're talking about that, but to be able to see the compilation for each one of those categories. Did you get, if it's 0 to 5 points, did you get 5 points? What did you get for the FSS program, and on and on and on? And it's very hard to see that, and the importance of each one of those categories and the points that are associated with the categories. So that would be really helpful in the next presentation. And then as it relates to the FSS program, how many participants do we actually have in our FSS program, and how many points did we get for our FSS program? And that's the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. And the importance of that program is individuals who are participants in the program itself, the larger program, receiving a subsidy for housing, has an opportunity to set employment goals, educational goals, even purchasing a home with their housing choice voucher. And so it's a really important program in helping individuals move towards self-sufficiency.
Thank you. Through the chair. Our Family Self-Sufficiency Program is a voluntary program, and because it's not a mandated program by HUD, we get no points for it. So we got 0 point, we can't even report on it. It's just the information of our escrow, our families under escrow and participants is available to us. We currently have 34 families on the program. Of that 34 families, 20 families have an escrow account and a progress report, which gives us an 83% number of families that are currently on the program that's moving towards their goals as far as gaining escrow and funds available at the end of their term of the program to have access to purchase a home, as you said, or whatever their particular goals are.
So how do we actually advertise our program? What work do we do to grow that program? Because that program is really important.
So the Housing Authority is, we have a housing specialist that's specifically assigned to the FSS program. Currently, that position is vacant at this time, but we're recruiting for a housing specialist at this time, and one of those positions will be occupied for the FSS program specifically. How we work to grow the program is we use our current waiting list, families that are new to the program. We outreach to those individuals. We connect with individual companies or small businesses in the local area to to gain information on available employment opportunities so that we can align the families with those particular resources so that they can be successful in whatever their goals are. We continue to do this process, and when we have a staff on board, we have monthly outreach meetings with them to make sure that they're trending in the direction that they wish to go as far as their goals are concerned, and also to ensure that they're moving in the direction of self-sufficiency.
So is the FSS program, program coordinator, is that on a HUD grant, or is that actually part of our baseline budget?
The FSS coordinator position is actually grant funded. It's not a position under our budget. We get a grant each year, and we apply for it each year.
Correct. Okay. So one of the things that I would like in the next time we come and each time we come, I'd really like to have more information on how our FSS program is growing. I'd like to have a presentation actually on all of the different resources that are part of that program that we're offering to individuals who are on the FSS program. And I'd also like to look at some of the material, ways that we are dealing with it also on the internet and social media, how we're actually outreaching to our existing families, not just new families on the program, but individuals and families who have been in our program for some quite time. And also how those success stories are shared, because when success stories are shared by participants, it really encourages other participants to consider being a part of the program, as I'm quite sure both know. And I understand it is work, but one of the beauties of this program, again, it creates self-sufficiency. There's always opportunities to increase that program as it relates to a full-time employee through a grant, which helps us increase the program further. But we also know that we have to meet a threshold before HUD would even consider giving us another position. So I would really like to see us report at least quarterly, and I would like to see the trend and how we really grow a robust program and bring in other educational systems, technical education, working with our trades. There are so many different avenues that we can ask the different businesses and organizations to become a part of the cohort that you're designing and continuing to build. And in any way that I can help you with that work, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
And also, what I can do is I can provide, in a separate email, I can ensure that you have a copy of the metrics that was used to identify our scores, because I'll be happy to share, because I have it present with me today.
Great, thanks. Board Member Gordon.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and I echo some of the comments that my colleagues shared. I tried to give you a call, but I knew you were very busy, but it's all right. But I wanted to ask, one of the things I have just a slight problem, and I know you and I kind of touched on this, but there has been residents who have been through all the process, right? They got approved, everything's fine, went through a walkthrough, and then that last walkthrough, they receive a letter saying they no longer qualify for that residence. Can you help to explain that as you explained it to me? Because they've already put their paperwork in, for the last residence, and then they're right back where they started. Can you please explain why is that, and could that be changed? Because it seems kind of leaving the family out there, having to find other residents because they already put their notice in at the previous one. Do you understand what I'm saying? Thank you.
Yes, through the chair, I'll be happy to answer. What you're referring to is actually when families selected a new unit, and there's a component to our process where we have to do an affordability test. Families can pay up to 30 to 40% of their income for rent. However, when the unit, they receive a voucher based on the number of families in their home. That voucher has a weight, a dollar amount tied to it. Those individuals are encouraged to find units within their shopping range, per se, and when they find units and they submit a RTA, we conduct a rent reasonableness test, as I had kind of went over for indicator 2. And that determines if we can pay the amount of rent that the owner is asking for. And oftentimes we can't, because our payment standards although we try to compete with the private market, our payment standards are still lower than some of the rents that owners are asking for. So it would make it difficult for a family to secure that particular home. So we would have to negotiate with the owner to ask them if they're willing to decrease the rent in order for the family to be able to afford to live there with their voucher. Often times owners will agree and decrease their rents. However, there are times when owners will not. And when they don't, we have to tell the family that they don't qualify for that particular unit, that they would need to search within their shopping range in order to secure housing.
Thank you for explaining that. And then one more, so if someone is in a program, a tax credit apartment, let's say, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, 1,600. But then they're being asked to spend 1,900. Why is that? And why has that been okay?
So tax credit in the Housing Choice Voucher Program have different rent caps. There's a rent cap for tax credits, and then, but those particular units, if they want to layer it with a voucher, they can. And the amount that the owner asks for the voucher, we can pay if it meets rent comparability. We don't restrict the units that are tax credit. It's just if the owner asks for a dollar amount, we can comp it, and the family can afford it using the affordability test. It's within their 30 and 40%, then they can secure the unit.
Thank you for explaining that, and I appreciate it. Because, I mean, I do my best to explain it so that they can understand, but it has been really hard for them, especially when they've already put their notice in, right? And then they're like having to find a place to stay. So I really appreciate you explaining that. But again, thank you so much for this report, and congratulations for bringing the score extremely high, almost more than 20%. So thank you for that.
And I would like to also state that families are briefed on this process every time they move. If a family moves every year, we brief them every year and explain this process to them each time.
I appreciate that, and I know that you do. I just want to say it because so on record, so people who are watching this will have a clearer understanding that there's nothing shady going on, basically. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Councilmember Letters.
So just remind me, is our FMR, fair market rent, at 120%?
Currently, our payment standards are at 120% of the 2024 FMRs. The FMRs recently changed for the county of Solano County, and they've actually decreased significantly. So I'm in the process of determining what those new payment standards will be for the upcoming year for 2026.
So do we ever do a combined study throughout Solano County? And even, we border right up against Richmond, Pinole. So have we worked with their housing authority to just kind of maybe consider doing a benchmark study and then petition HUD on that study? Have we considered that?
Through the chair, yes, we've considered that option. Unfortunately, that particular assessment costs about $60,000. That would be split between housing agencies. I've contacted a few of our partnering agencies, and in all honesty, the Housing Choice Voucher Program do not have the funds to support this effort.
Okay. Are we saying us or everyone is saying that right now?
No, I'm saying it as far as the Vallejo Housing Authority Housing Choice Voucher Program do not have funds to engage in that particular endeavor.
But that's fine. So my question is,
They're not willing.
Our other local housing authorities, are they too saying that they're unwilling to engage? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So I spoke with Vacaville. I spoke with Vacaville, and they're not saying they're not willing to engage, but it's not something that they're looking into doing. It's something we are looking into doing if I can find some funds to support the effort.
What about Richmond? We bump right up against Richmond, Pinole area. Let's talk about this offline.
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about it offline. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Seeing no other comments, we'll go ahead and close. It's an informational item, so no need for a vote. Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll go ahead and adjourn the Housing Authority meeting, and however much time you need, Manny, to switch us over, we'll start our city council meeting as soon as we're switched.